Glenn,
He hasn't called in yet.
he's waiting for us to call him.
It's not, he has to call in.
Let me close the door, Richard.
Hey, Richard, I know I
We can get started.
I'm okay, everybody else is okay.
Yeah, I mean, when we enter, it'll pop up that this goes.
Okay,
I have my own food order at my house, cause you can conduct business and we know living over that thing.
okay, the first item on the agenda is review of August 21st minutes. When you were involved in the letter to advertise on that, Thomas.
Well, yeah, I tried to do it and I thought I had it placed. I had a confirmation email from them. And I go back to look at it, a couple weeks later and no ad. So I call them up. And the lady says, ad, I'm not seeing the ad, you didn't place the ad. Huh. So I got help. So we do have an ad running. It's a good ad. I drafted the ad. And people are instructed to call me if, and it's under the business opportunities section of Barnstormers.
Okay,
So
I think it's free, just let it run as long as we can and see what happens. You know, we may wanna invest some money in a little bigger advertisement with a aerial photo, like that aerial photo of the field that we have.
get all it.
That's awesome. So that's underway. I think the ad first started running like 10 days ago. So they're gonna call me and if anybody calls me, I'll refer them to you.
anything else on that?
Well, no, the other thing on my agenda was to find us a car and I have the
Yes.
failure.
Yes, Glenn? You there?
I don't see anything from Richard in the past week. Somebody just forward it to me, please.
Okay. Richard's sending it to you now.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, anything else on that?
Yeah, let me just finish what I was saying. So Rick Cook, who used to have an ownership interest in Old saw him and Joey Joseph, I knew both well. I bought about 10 cars.
I'm trying to keep that a little later in the agenda because Glenn wants to be in on.
Oh, he does?
Yeah, so
Okay.
it's here. It's here in the notes. We'll get to it.
All right,
I'd like to wait if you don't mind.
no problem. And then my other responsibility was to look at the leases and figure out what sort of admonitions or warnings or rules, whatever we're gonna put on our, however we communicate it to the population at the airport. Now, one thing I have found is that there are several different versions of the lease. So I am going through and highlighting everything that could potentially be in a bulletin or a sign or something. And it's gonna be and down at the bottom, it's gonna have to say, check your lease to make sure the fees are paid. Cause I don't know how else, I've got 3 different leases, I mean, I suspect there's more. But I don't know.
I knew it was 2, I didn't know there was a 3. Maybe, okay, maybe there was.
We had an old time one like what you've got. Then we,
Now be careful how you say.
you're a veteran, seasoned. And then there's one that I think a lot of people have,
Mhm.
and then there's one that we just recently
Oh, okay.
revised when we increased the upfront.
Yeah.
Cost of really processing the lease to do that initial onboarding.
So by my understanding was we were gonna devote today
Right.
to figuring out how to deliver this message to the airport community out there, whether is it an email transmission, is it a notice we post somewhere? We send it to them in a letter. I don't know, we just need, it seems to me that a poster in the terminal building would be one way to do it, but not everybody goes in the terminal.
My personal opinion on that, I agree with you, I understand what you're saying. We ought to have a process to communicate to hangar owners on a regular basis. I don't care if it's monthly, quarterly, but it's just something. Because not a lot of people go in the terminal building now. I still think we ought to have a process that we could send information to people, relevant information to the airport.
Yeah, we'd have to get a database that has
That's right.
every hangar owner's
Right.
name, address, phone number.
All I'm saying is I think we ought to do something like that if the group agrees and.
What is, do you have the ability, Richard, to give us a printout of every hangar owner?
I can, yeah, yes, to an extent, because it's as of April 1st of each year.
Sure, I mean, just do the best you can, but we have to develop a list. So that when you wanna send an email blast to everybody, you can get everybody in just that one.
Right, your obstacle is, I don't do email, right? Or I prefer this or that, when we have new hangar owners, they get a hangar information sheet that I ask them to fill out, which is. Their contact information, whether it's them or somebody else, and then tail information.
Okay, so we just need to get all that in one place in one database. So that you don't send emails, we can send emails without having to go searching for all this information. And don't take this the wrong way, but I was a lawyer I still am practicing almost 50 years. And we had a method of accumulating documents in one spot, and if you needed them, you went right to it, right on the computer. I mean, the case management system worked beautiful. I assume you have something like that.
We have our drive, right, our internal drive, you're not welcome to it, but. On the
Where do
website,
I want it?
North Airport, I think is what it is, has hangar specifications and it has things like that, has your current fuel prices.
Yeah, okay.
So obviously that's something you can drive people to if you have questions, but
Yeah, the biggest thing is just to give a list so we can send an email to everybody at one time. So that everybody gets the same info, same email, thing.
Anybody else have any, put onto that?
Or mail them a letter if they don't have email.
Yeah, or both.
I still think we need a way to communicate on a regular basis. I don't care if it's,
So what do you mean?
if something email, he doesn't, just what's going on at the airport, so people are more aware of what's happening. I don't care if it's done once a quarter, it doesn't matter, but we don't communicate with anybody out there.
So is that something the board should be doing? Or is that something you're looking for the town board?
Like a newsletter?
To me, I don't care, it doesn't matter if this group wants to take ownership to it and do it, that's great.
I mean,
If not, Richard,
Well,
it seems to me like, I apologize for interrupting, is we need to get the hangar owners trained to get this email or whatever it is once a month. And we look forward to it. We don't only include bad stuff, but we include information on developments at the airport. I think people would appreciate that.
so is that something we could put together and then, and have Richard add,
Yes,
you know,
I think so.
his comments in it?
Yeah, I think so. I'll be happy
Instead
to
of
take
dumping it
the-
on, which.
I'll be happy to take the first draft. Yeah, I mean, we could, as soon as we have an email list, we could send out a blast email saying. Hey, folks, just to let you know what's coming down the line, we're now using this newsletter on a regular basis to keep hangar owners up to date on what's going on in the airport. And oh, by the way, would you please get your lease out and look at it? And take a look at these things
So what I
and
might,
do it every month, they'll be
well,
expected.
I might suggest we tie it to your meetings. I have a section at the end of every meeting. Before you set your next meeting date to say, what do we want included in this? Was it what we just went through? And
Yeah.
if it's not work, then don't do it. And I don't mind pulling it together, because I can pull it right out of the minutes, and I'm
Yeah,
like,
so the first email,
Well,
I think
I
it's
think
good.
is to send and say, we're trying to put together an email of all the hangar owners, can you check your information and let us know if it's incorrect? So once you have an accurate list. One stroke of the key and you've got every single person.
I am concerned that if we try to do it every month, it'll work great for the first 2 or 3 months and then it'll drop
Well,
off.
we could do it every 3 months or
Well,
6 months.
What I was gonna suggest is that we do it once a quarter.
Yeah,
And that way, it's more realistic to believe that we'd be able to do that once a quarter than trying to do it once a month.
no,
People just
I'm
are
fine with
busy
that.
and things happen and.
we just have to get it in their head. That there's a lease, a mail obligation, and
Yeah,
that's.
I agree, we just need to have it on a regular basis, and I think once a quarter.
Yeah, and include other airport information in there, so they don't take it as a affront to them.
now this will be my self-serving comment. We put out a quarterly newsletter that goes townwide, every mailbox in town. If anybody at the airport wants to share something with the public. Doesn't have to be pilot specific, it could be pilot specific about the airport, what's going on or anything like that, pictures, send them to me. Because that gives me content that I can put in and they
Okay,
don't hear enough about it and I have other things, I have to write the whole newsletter myself, so. I don't get a whole lot of help, so if you have something that you want, that's issued quarterly.
yeah, but I think we could give you like a punch list of things that are going on out there that you could include. In the newsletter. I mean, if we do a half-ass job, people aren't gonna pay too much attention, but if we do a good job and the content's good. And it's interesting and rewarding for people to read, they'll read it. I mean, you could lay out a fly-in schedule, fly-ins in other communities that are close by. It doesn't have to be in all of it. I learned a long time ago that. Yeah.
There's a lot of information we can communicate. You know, for example. The state police, when they're gonna be here. Not that, I mean, today, 2-1 was not available and the wind was, what I saw going right now. If pilots knew, or hangar owners knew that I'm gonna fly next week, the state police will be out here. Then, if they're aware of it, instead of getting here saying, shit, I can't go, I'm gonna do it
Do
now.
we have a schedule for law enforcement use of the?
For the most part,
Yeah, we could put that in the newsletter.
That's right.
It's all sorts of things we could put in.
Those people that can't fly on days like today, maybe they gotta get a nose wheel,
Maybe what?
they gotta get a nose wheel.
You know, I used to like.
Smack it.
Scratch that one off the list.
Buy one of those carbon training wheel. Buy a
training.
carbon tub.
Land a mat.
Wouldn't I like to?
Yeah, well, they make them. I couldn't believe they did this. They put a nose wheel on those
And
airplanes,
you know what?
$500,000.
If you look at the numbers, in terms of getting off the ground and on the ground, it does a better job than the tailwind.
Yeah, but I don't care.
I agree with you, I just,
Alright, we get,
that's
We're
what,
getting off.
let's, alright, so,
anything else on that?
no,
Okay,
I think the next step is to focus our efforts on getting a good, solid distribution list,
I can do that.
okay?
alright,
And then we decide, I mean, I can work on drafting sort of an introductory email that we send to people. Hi. This is what we're gonna do, this is what we're thinking about, the town's concerned because. People may or may not be complying with their leases and we need to update our notice requirement, yeah, you know, yada, 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 just tell them. That they're gonna, I don't think you need an alert email to tell them that they have to do stuff, you just tell them this email is coming every quarter. Cause we need to get them interested in it.
so what's the next
I-
step forward on this?
I think we've sufficiently,
That's-
this one to death, let's.
Yeah.
Well, what's the step forward with it, are we gonna do anything?
There be any,
As I understand it, Rich is gonna develop a list. And then once the
We'll go
list
from
is,
there.
if Bill wants to draft up an initial letter, he can draft it up, have it ready. We can look at it. We use the distribution list, we'll send it out, we'll do it once a quarter from there on.
Everybody okay with that?
yeah, I just have one more thing to say. Have there ever been any social events where all the hangar owners are invited to? I don't know, go to dinner or. Anything that gets everybody together, starts developing a little more camaraderie, because people, a lot of people out there. You never see them and they're always alone and they're doing what they're doing and. Literally 3/4 of the people out there, I don't know.
No.
Thank you.
You don't think that's a good idea?
Thank you.
No, the answer to that is, not that I know of, it. Have we ever had a function where we got the hangar owners together
Oh.
and
okay.
pilots? On a
I mean-
social
I
level.
mean, we could have a
closest we
bar,
ever used
we
to-
could have a barbecue.
The closest we ever came was Sunday morning breakfast,
That's true.
that's the only thing.
We have,
I don't know if that would work anymore or not, but it used to pack the place.
Yeah, those were fantastic, but that was a lot of work from
That's
Brenda
right.
and Ken. I mean, they
No, I'm,
just put incredible amounts.
all I'm
of time
saying
into
is that was the old, we've done it. No, we did it one time, remember we had that cookout out there with
Yeah. And I,
turkey and
yeah,
ham or something?
yeah, we did.
I mean, we could have
I
a
still remember.
pumpkin dropping contest. People drop those. No?
No. Ask Ken can answer that one.
no,
Okay.
Someone's gotta clean up the pumpkins,
Hey, can I jump in here for a minute?
right?
Oh, it is illegal?
Absolutely, dropping anything out of an airplane,
Yeah, that's good.
absolutely.
For us to drop candy out of our airplane. Holy cow.
The FAA
Okay, I
has
get the
to be.
picture.
We have to dispatch an ambulance.
Flying object.
Fire truck.
Yeah,
and
okay,
people-
Hey, Richard? Richard?
Yeah.
You gotta admit it was a good idea though, right?
Is that one?
Yeah, pumpkin, yeah.
Yes, it
Very
is.
fun.
Oh,
Well, I
okay,
see these
Hello?
videos
let's
of
keep,
people dropping
Hello?
pumpkin pies.
Okay, let's,
Bags of
keep-
flour.
well, let's
Let's
keep
move on.
going.
I think Glenn wants to say.
Yeah.
Glenn?
Yep, I would, if you don't mind. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Hello? Yeah, you can hear me. Okay. Yeah, I've, whoever brought up the idea of a social event, I think it's a great idea. And I've actually thought over the past several months that, just a barbecue in the hangar. So I propose that sometime before the end of October, we do hamburgers and hot dogs, and we could use my hangar and my grill, and I'd be happy to sponsor it, pay for the food, if we can get a list out and just see who shows up.
Yeah, I'm happy to contribute to the food, drink, etc. But the first criteria is we have to be able to notify people.
I'll have that done within 40 hours.
Okay, that's perfect. Not putting pressure on you.
I'm not working late.
Okay, so the step forward of that is, Glenn, you're gonna take the ownership to this?
Yep, Well,
do.
except for the except for the invitation list, because I have no way of handling that.
Yeah,
If you can just roll me up your date, time, hangar number. Or what you want people to know, then I'll roll something up, Glenn, and get it over to you.
Yeah, and I'll draft a letter and send it to Richard and our other, I think there's like 5 people on our email list. That get involved with the documents that we're dealing with. And I'm
Yeah, Richard.
I'm happy.
Richard, if
Like managing our paperwork.
yeah,
Go ahead,
Richard, if
Glenn.
you just gave me a task, Richard, I'd be happy to do it, but I didn't hear what it was exactly.
I'll email you.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
anything else on that subject? Now that you're here, Glenn, we talked last meeting about loaner cars at the airport. I said I'd talk to Hyde, I did, I talked to Walter. They don't do that because of an insurance issue. Glenn has some information that he was able to pick up in northern Maine. I asked Bruce to come to the meeting to tell us about vehicles that are available within the state. So as soon as we get Richard back,
Well,
Glenn,
I can give you some information.
that's right.
Yeah, the cars that are on dealers lot under $7,500 are a piece of junk. Most of them are better tow them out of there, because they don't want the liability of you driving it out. So, the way to get a vehicle cheaper is to go to an auction where they're sold as is, about half of what retail is.
If
And
you
I bet money.
If you're going into an auction, you have to go in with someone that can go in.
I understand, it's gotta be somebody who's a dealer.
And what I followed up on this with Brett. And I think it was Brett, maybe it was Bruce telling me that you can't just go in and with someone and pick out a car and say you want it.
No, you have to go to the dealer who's got a permit to do it.
That's right. Beyond that, it gets a little deeper about, how'd you put that, Bruce? If you go in with a dealer and buy a car, and the dealer buys the car for you.
Yeah, the auction doesn't like, they
Yeah.
call them, the auction themselves, call them, they'll chastise the dealer if he brings a quote unquote retail buyer. Have to be very careful. They'll go after him. They'll go after the dealer. Because it is a dealer only auction.
Yeah,
And the other dealers don't like it when another dealer brings a retail customer, cause that drives the price of the car.
I see, okay, I don't know much about these auctions, except that I bought a few vehicles at.
Yeah, well,
Bruce has some information on how we might be able to get one from the state.
yeah, the state has an auction, I think, Richard, the town's signed up for
Yeah, surplus property.
the surplus property, and now the state vehicles that go through used to be, you went down and it was a live auction, you walked around. Now they take all the state vehicles and they put them on this gov slash
Online,
planet slash gov. One or the other, anyway, it goes out, and all the bids now all come online,
yeah,
they're all on the computer now.
well,
But
I'm
you
happy
can,
to keep working on it, but I don't. You know, somebody said, don't we get revenue from the people advertising on the side of the car in the dealership? And the problem with that is, I found out quickly, is we don't want our name on the side of a car, it's side of a $7,500 number.
Is there any interest in pursuing it? Glenn, Glenn, you've got some information you found out on this.
Yeah, I was up at the Eastport, Maine airport a few weeks ago, and they had a loaner car, and I spoke to the airport manager, whose name is Pete Lyman, and he was extremely helpful, and he actually sent me 4 pages via email of the process. And there are 2 ways that he's gotten cars. Not only has he gotten cars, he's gotten tractors, he's gotten lawnmowers, he's gotten a septic system, and let me give you a brief rundown on what he shared with me. There's the program I think you were referring to, GSA, which is the X Property Program. And it's from the state of Maine, of Central Services, and it's the Maine State Agency for Surplus Property, abbreviation SASP. And they have equipment and property donations to municipal governments. So this would be actually a donation to the town of Norwich Walk. They have a web portal. I have the links to it. And the state sends an email listing once you are signed up and part of this on a regular basis of everything that the state is giving away or donating. Then there's a federal program that goes through the federal program, and you can access it either through the FAA or through the state. And this is separate. This is separate from the one I was referring to. And that's not open. It's open to airports, and it's also open to town governments. The gentleman who's in charge of that is the name of Leonard Goodine, and he is the state inventory and property supervisor. And there's a quite lengthy document application process that has to be submitted to get on this list. But once you're on the list, the federal government offers things, everything from UE helicopters to cars to resistors and capacitors, and it's sort of like eBay. You type in the search word, and you may have to do it for a few weeks at a time every day to find the car you're looking for. But in the case of Eastport, Maine, he found a car that was at a prison that they were no longer needing in Georgia, and it was donated to the airport at Eastport, Maine, and he went down to Georgia and he drove it home, and that's the loaner car that I was able to use. And he gave me the information on how to contact and get all those documents as well. Lastly, there's two ways to get those from the state. One is that you can get it directly from the state, or you can go through the FAA. The advantage of going through the FAA is there's absolutely no fee. If you go through the state, you have to pay a 4% the value of the car. So that's kind of the cliff notes on what he gave me, but I think he said we really won't have any problem finding a car in a couple of months once we get the process started. And it has to be done through the town manager's office, but it doesn't have to be done by the town manager. It can be done by anyone who he assigns to do it, whether it's the airport manager or whether it's me or somebody else in the office. So that's the short version, and I'll kick it back to Richard and see what he thinks about that.
I'm going to reach out to the town's primary insurance company. I'll reach out to the airport's insurance company, and I'll get a price quote. A car sounds wonderful.
Oh, I'm sorry, Richard. Richard, I'm sorry, I did forget one thing. I asked him about insurance, and he said what they did is they added it onto the town's insurance policy, and it cost him a little over $1,000 a year to add the loaner car.
That's what I'm gonna find out, because our insurance company won't cover the airport. I have to have a third party insurance company cover the airport. And I feel like a vehicle that anybody can drive is gonna be higher than that, but
Well,
if we make it all work, then we'll make it all work. But I know what I pay for my insurance, and I have designated drivers in my household that don't have OUIs or anything like that, speeding tickets, and I pay more than $1,000 a year. So a free car looks nice, but so does a free house, until you realize that you've gotta maintain it and heat it and clean it and everything else.
That goes right back to your question, Ken, about responsibility. When you and I talked about this, if we do it, who is going to be responsible for
Yeah,
Case closed.
somebody would have to be assigned that.
it? That's right.
I don't mind allocating a small portion of Bruce's time to checking up on it. I don't think you would mind either. Because he's giving people rides, right?
No,
But. If it's cost prohibitive, and we have to be honest, what is the airport generating by having this vehicle? We don't have landing fees, I don't think a lot of people are gonna stop in and buy the incremental gas to cover the cost of this. So that's kind of where I'm at the cost perspective. You know, what are you gonna do, go to the store and get a 2 liter bottle of soda or a dog? It's a tough.
Right now, my pickup truck is in Wilton. I've loaned it to a pilot that flew in to go get some legal documents in Wilton. So, I mean. There is use, there is.
I get utility of it, but I'm looking at ROI for the airport. Like, what's the airport gaining by having that there?
well, it may be,
Well, hopefully,
it may bring,
these pilots will fly in and.
Yeah.
If they're gonna come in from out of town, they're gonna buy gas.
Hopefully, right,
And like the Bonanza that was in here a couple weeks ago. I think you bought like 120 gallons, 100 a little bit.
okay,
it may bring, it may,
Compared to what?
Yeah.
Our airplanes, it was like, wow,
it may bring in,
those are the kinds of people that would.
if someone knows
that's
that,
why I want the numbers to it, because. A normal American would not fly in and borrow somebody's car to go to Wilton to get legal paperwork. They send a FedEx pickup and they would have it overnighted to their house for $50. Right, so. Probably a hobbyist that said, it'd be a nice little adventure. If that's the one-off, then that's the one-off, and we have to be honest about it. So I
Well,
think we need,
if I can jump in for a second here. The reason I went to Eastview Airport is I had a friend visiting and we wanted to see the state. And what I did is I looked online to see what airports have a loaner car, and they did. So I landed there. I took the loaner car. The airport manager, I asked him where's a good restaurant. I went to the Lakeview restaurant, spent $120. He asked me to, if I wouldn't mind, let the restaurant owner know that I got there via the airport and that it was recommended, and I used their loaner car, which I did. I don't think I'm unique in that situation, Richard.
okay. I wonder if they're getting kickbacks. From the restaurant.
We don't care.
Fair enough, I think the insurance is an important part of that, so.
It is, absolutely.
I agree with that, but I mean, are you talking the loaner car is free or?
free.
Free? I didn't know if it would be like a $20 charge or $10 charge that pays the insurance.
Richard, you may be able to get that vehicle, under your CGL policy. You have one of those, right? Commercial general liability policy.
No, I don't, because I'm a municipality and I'm covered under Maine tort.
Okay, so you got.
That's why the airport's a separate entity
No,
necessarily.
I understand, so, but that's the reason why you've chosen not to have this additional. Insurance, because if you buy insurance, you waive that immunity provision up to the limits of your insurance policy. But you have to have insurance on a vehicle.
Right, but I'm pool insured with only by municipalities. This is gonna be really necessarily a standalone policy where the municipality loses its protection. Under the Tort Claims Act
Yeah,
and exposes us to God knows what. And then if there is an incident on a vehicle owned by the town, then what does that do?
well, I
You
mean,
know,
one
because
thing.
if I have an accident on my policy, I know what that does.
Yeah, if I borrow someone else's car and get in an accident, my own policy will cover it. So, one simple solution is to say. You can borrow our car and drive all over the storage walk, but you need to prove to us that you also have insurance.
Or is, for me,
I don't wanna be in the rental car business, and that's what that turns me into, is somebody having to look at a driver's license, somebody having to. Whether we hold a deposit or review an insurance binder to make sure that you have coverage on your rental. Or that you're gonna sign the
What they did
liability.
what they did at Eastport is they required me to take a photograph of my driver's license and email it to the town manager before he told me where the keys were.
is the group in favor of pursuing this?
I think it's something, once we spend the money, that car is not gonna get driven all that much. And there's plenty of people around here that can help take care of that car. I did,
Bangor, the way Bangor gets around not charging the car is if you take the car and you need it for half an hour to go around the other side to go to the restaurant back, they don't charge you. If you're gone more than 2 hours, they charge you a service fee for parking your airplane on the ramp.
I knew they charged for backing on the
Or they don't charge, they usually don't. But if you, I take their car a number of times. And if I go over 2 hours, I usually go 3, and they usually charge me $27
I was gonna say, I
for
think,
parking my airplane services. Not for the car.
So you're not taking an exchange of,
Right, for the car, you
Yeah.
park the airplane, they park you, and so you pay for that service. And that's done at most airports. If you go to any airport, if you don't buy fuel, or you don't give them some revenue somehow, then they charge you the fee. Those are the big airports. So you would have to charge a parking fee for their airplane for $30 or $10 or whatever, if they borrow the car. That's how they do it.
It's a good idea. Any thoughts on it, Charlie?
Well, I just, Richard is absolutely correct in that. The concept is a good one, I like it, I think it is something that, could draw people into the airport, and that's good.
better than not.
But at the same time, I do think you need to be realistic about the cost of the insurance, the cost of the inspections, the cost of maintenance. And who's going to maintain it, and who's gonna pay when the transmission goes. So, I mean, all of that, we're having a hard time paying for the transmission on the tractor when it goes. And I don't necessarily want us to be in a situation where we're dumping money into an automobile. When we need to make sure that we have lawnmowers and snow blowers and stuff like that working.
Yeah, but
So-
yeah,
so
but I think in
I'm
this
not opposed-
situation,
Glenn, I'm not opposed to the idea of doing it. I think it's a good idea. I just think that we need to be prepared to deal with the costs that do show up in this thing. And factor that into the decision as to whether or not we do this or not.
right now, and I think that's a very valid point, but you know, if we're getting a $3, $4, $5,000 car, donor car for free, and we use it for a year and the transmission goes, then we just dump it and get another one.
And that may very well be the answer. But there will be regular costs to the automobile, no matter what. Even if it's only just an inspection every year, or an oil change, or whatever.
Mhm.
So there'll be some costs. And if we're realistic about the costs and we factor it in and we say, yeah, we're willing to absorb that, then great, let's do it.
I don't wanna continue to sound like I'm opposed to it, but I'm poking holes because we need to poke holes. How do we limit? What's your experience at other airports, limiting the access to the vehicle to pilots that are flying in that need it?
So the last time I had to get one was in New York, and we called in advance. And then we paid $25 for the car and a hangar. Pretty good deal.
So what's to keep me? I am a resident of the town of Rome with no hangar, no plane, no nothing to say, ooh, I need a car for a few hours. Because, and I can just call ahead to the Central Maine Regional Airport and bum it for a couple
That
of hours.
becomes responsibility. Someone needs to be responsible for this
So
program.
can we restrict that? Do other airports have restrictions that work?
Yeah, you gotta have your airplane
Yeah.
parked on the ramp.
That's right.
So you have to own an airplane and
Well, their airplane, they fly in, and you have their airplane.
so what
Yeah,
if
you wanna
somebody,
borrow my Vita, go ahead.
what if somebody flies in and drops somebody off and leave?
Well,
Well,
Yeah,
typically,
that's-
they wouldn't get blown.
yeah, we gotta have a set of rules on who the guy that use.
You have their
From
airplane parked
a
outside.
legal perspective, we have airports that we've seen it.
I've
One
never-
might say we're discriminating against a group of people by not allowing them access to a service offered by the public.
Okay, so insurance follows the vehicle, so the vehicle would have to be insured, and then the next thing is the insurance that follows the driver. I continue to think that if you get the driver's proof of insurance.
I'm saying, what's to keep somebody that's just a resident of Norwich Walk? Who needs, their kid needs to get to work that day, and they only have one car. From their mother dropping them off up to the airport and saying, I wanna borrow this car for 3 hours.
So I think first
It's a
off,
honor
you have to check on the insurance. Secondly, check with airports that have one of these vehicles.
That's right.
And see what their policy is.
Well, I didn't know if anybody here had one.
No, I know, but I'm saying I think that that's what we need to do before you decide if you're gonna do it or not do it.
The deal ought to be, you give us the keys to your plane, we'll give you the keys to the car.
That's how it works.
And when you come back, give us the keys to the car, we'll give you the keys to your airplane back.
So you might wind out ahead then.
Yeah.
Oh, very well,
Yeah.
yeah, you'll get $7,500 cars. Yeah.
Richard, I think it's a good point. I think it's a good point about, what if the local wanted to borrow the car? Every airport I've ever been to that had a courtesy car, it was there for people who flew in, not for the locals who don't have a car that day. And that was just part of the policy.
So these airports must have written policy somewhere,
Right,
obviously.
maybe my new rental car gig when I'm on vacation. Right?
And
I don't know what airports in, may have rental cars. I mean, I don't know, I just don't know who,
Rental cars?
loaner cars, nice. Bangor, I just don't know, no one Glenn's aware of it.
We'll look around.
Yeah. I think that should
There's
be-
there's actually a website that I have access to, that anybody has access to. And it's and specifically what airports around the country have loaner cars.
And there's a lot of plenty.
Belfast, I don't know if Belfast does. Harvard does, Bangor, Ford, Lewiston,
Wisconsin.
Wisconsin.
There's quite a few of
Newport.
those,
And the loaner car,
there's quite a few.
most, yeah, like Bangor's got. Half dozen.
Anything else on this subject?
Well, I don't mind doing the research on what some of the other main airports policies are on loaning and cost and insurance and any other requirements for people that come in, and then maybe we'll share that at the next meeting and see how that shakes out.
That's perfect.
Sounds like a plan to me.
Okay.
There's no big distribution list for airports, but I have access. to
You're
it.
getting a lot of people saying, thank you, Glenn.
Yeah,
You're
So
welcome.
you're gonna take that?
I'll take that.
Okay. Anything else on this? Okay, then
Thank you.
that should clean us up through old business. Now, the major reason for this meeting was hangar specs, review of leases and communication with hangar owners. And we've talked through that somewhat. You,
I think we've hashed that out earlier today.
and I,
Need a distribution list and then a hello list.
there was a question at one point about maybe we did cover it then. Yes, we talked about how the communicate, so that in mind. Any other,
Looking for it.
with that, any other new business?
So.
Well, yeah, it probably fell under old business, but I did purchase an advertisement in Barnstormers with Bill's help to perhaps entice or at least see if there's any interest in getting businesses to come to the airport. I believe I sent that to most of you, or a link to it to most of you that I could.
Yeah, I got it.
Bill, yeah, Bill, your name was your name and number was the contact information. Although at the very bottom of the ad, my name and number is there only because that's my that's how Barnstormers does it, because it's my account. But
Sure.
I was not inundated. I was not inundated with many new companies that want to move to the airport. In fact, I didn't hear anything. Did you hear anything, Bill?
No, I haven't gotten a call.
All right, well, we'll just let yeah, it's good for a month. I don't mind renewing it next month again. And we'll see
It's
what happens.
free, is it? Isn't it a free ad?
No, free ad is
No,
like 120
it's
characters and that free ad's like 120 characters and I added some, I added a little bit to it. But it's like $25. I don't mind covering that. And we'll see what we get.
I apologize for that. I don't have very good computer tech skills, but I do have a consultant that helps me with that stuff, IT consultant. I can always call him and ask him questions.
Anything else? Bill? Anything?
No, sir.
Ron? Sir Charles?
No,
Ken?
I don't know if they to say this, but any progress of people that own that tree, we need to get.
We have no grounds or rights to that tree. That's the problem. So what we have to then do is try to navigate through the domain or the FAA will get it. But, large consensus is that that bridge has been burned, and it was burned. But never forget.
Yeah.
and money will not change their mind.
They felt undercompensated on the previous settlement, so I don't think that that would be, what I thought was gonna be our leverage was allowing them to log out and come across the airport property. But then once they realized that we didn't have any right to cut, then that was all that we got.
Right, I guess what I was thinking is if there were to be 10 or 15 people at the airport that would be willing to contribute a small amount towards a sum of money. Would they be willing to sell us that tree for?
Yeah, like if we gave him $1,000. Did that do it?
I don't think so.
Right, 2,000?
The property owners have bad feelings against the airport for the way
So
the
it's
tree
been-
cutting was previously done.
Matter
They have placed a high value on the condition of their property and the trails that they've kind of built through. I will continue to reapproach it. Obviously, we don't want to eminent domain something,
No,
but I think that's where we end up.
but
And then you engage consultant and FAA and all
Yeah,
of the work.
if,
Did you ever get confirmation from the FAA that tree was a problem?
yes.
Oh, yeah.
That is for sure, because there was a conversation about, well, maybe it really isn't.
So
They were
that's
gonna
the
check it out.
It
The
is.
other one is down.
The other one's gone. We sort of had a guy go look at all this.
But it's
It's all
fair.
that-
Okay, well, okay.
That one tree keeps light flight from flying in here at night on IFR conditions.
It seems like one thing we
So
need
hopefully
to know is, in order to make a
My
decision,
grandkid, when he used to go in Boston,
Richard, is what amount of money would it take? Just, I would like to know what that is. Is it $5,000, $2,500? $2,500, $10,000? I mean, what are we thinking?
I will approach. I don't want it to look like we're trying to buy.
Well, you could just
We're
say,
trying
we're
to
trying
figure
to
it out.
evaluate our options. And we've got 4 or 5 options and we just wanna get your input on this.
Right, I was always under the impression that what we had. The obligation to maintain for safety. We own the rights to, that's what, we had a big grant package 15 years ago. Immediately before this clearing,
Yeah.
and I thought we owned everything we needed to in terms of maintenance, and we don't.
Well, so I mean, this is obviously just a snafu, nobody gets blamed for it.
well, and
This is
it wasn't just
okay.
them that got snafu.
Huh?
It wasn't just them that got snafu.
Yeah, so what do you mean, Kevin?
There were others that
That felt that they were,
didn't come out on the right end of it.
Right, but what happened was we went in and cleared this property and we didn't own it and we didn't have a right to clear
Yeah, that's a minor detail right there. Yeah, I can see why.
it. And then they were told, take this amount of money or we're gonna take it by eminent domain and you're gonna get less.
Yeah, so now that's what they're pissed about. Excuse me, I shouldn't have said that, that's what they're mad about.
They're frustrated with the way that it's been done in the past.
Okay, well, tell them that you're gonna change. You're a good politician, you
I'm not a politician, I'm an administrator.
know, hey, that's total BS, you know how to talk to people and negotiate things and make people feel good about themselves.
Okay, you're up now. Anything?
I don't do anything new, except for the fact that what we have for aircraft. That we attempted to register and collect excise tax on. We issued personal property tax bills for everybody else that didn't pay. We have a 100% collection rate. We collected on the last difficult aircraft. That payment came in.
All
So,
right,
the goal with that was
That is great.
to gain compliance. The aircraft, nothing specific, was ballpark personal property tax assessment of $500. That aircraft could have been registered by regular process for 101. But because they were above,
I know who you're talking about, I think.
because they were above the law, I didn't apply to them. They said, oh, I paid $10 to Wilton, so I have freedom of access, Wilton's paperwork.
That's what I thought it was.
Everything else, and so it was just discouraging that I had to go through that. But I think that maybe next year they'll know, and you know, bad news spreads quickly, so maybe everybody else will figure that out too. But
Well, I get a little nervous when you start talking about the people not paying from Wilton.
Yeah.
I'm all set.
Yeah.
it's not,
I saw
it's not
that.
that, it's
I saw that
it's-
coming.
it's well,
Yeah,
it's the town of Well,
I know who it is.
it was the
Yeah.
town of Well.
yeah,
And I'm like, well, where's the aircraft based and what's, so I asked the town, where's proof of payment, calculation methods, location, and obviously none of that was produced, so. And it wasn't done before April 1st, which is the date of assessment.
We all need to pay attention.
That's right.
Anything new on the snow blower?
Yes.
Yes.
No, Richard.
So we got an
You got the same
update this
email I
morning that the snow blower is now ready and at the manufacturer. They are shipping that to us. They're coordinating to get staff here. Gail said this is my funny of the day, I think. Did you get it or did you not get my email? So Gail said, well, if we're available, we'll be there to inspect it. So I told them I didn't care if they sent Sean Duffy himself to inspect it, Secretary of Transportation. Somebody will be here to inspect it because they're not gonna do the same thing they did the last one. So we've been committed by Matt, that Gail, somebody from Gail will be here to inspect it the day of arrival.
What about the old one?
is that,
They've taken it
Over
back,
that.
that's gone?
No.
they're taking it back.
The one that they brought, they're gonna, the way they talk, the new one comes, the one that they brought us, the brand new one is going back.
So they just.
Yeah.
That's a good.
And then the last small piece, which is relatively unimportant at this point in time, was we issued a request for proposals on new consultants. That was up, so we have to go through the process. We filed that, we took an ad out in the town line newspaper because we had to. We put it on the website, we put it on the airport website, we sent it to DOT and FAA, and we only had one response,
Yeah.
and that was from Gail.
Yeah, I mean, my impression is that's a professional outfit, they have a guy that's devoted to aviation issues.
We've got a whole division of it, it's when we have to pay bills on Wednesday nights at the select board meeting and it's $200,000, as they say, to think about runway lights, it's frustrating, and so. When you issue an RFP and all you get is one proposer. That's why they can get away with it,
Yeah.
so it's not that it makes you feel all warm and fuzzy, that they provide you a great service. So.
Anything else?
No, come on.
Anyone have anything?
Remember 30 years.
Oh.
Oh,
we talked about the hangars that did not have airplanes in them, what to do about it. Have you thought about that? Can you do like, I don't know if that needs to be right in the lease or whatever, but like a $200. If you don't have an airplane in here or one you're building,
Can do
you
that.
pay $200 to the town because of loss of excise tax, loss of fuel.
It's not a storage unit.
Right, for a storage unit.
As long, I agree with you, but as long as you decide why there's not a hangar, a plane in the hangar. Cause there's a couple of cases where there haven't been a plane, hasn't been a plane for a while, but then one ends up there. But you're right, there are a bunch of them out there, there'll never be a plane in. I don't think.
Unless they're actively putting one together
Right,
or
right, I agree.
active.
Well, and the other exception would be people that, you know, are on floats and the.
Right,
summer.
right.
Yeah, they're always full, I mean, sometimes we have a few empty ones, because people are on floats.
That's right.
Or they got it over in Pittsfield, having major work done on it for 2 months or.
How many do we actually have that don't have planes in them? We tried counting the other day and I don't remember the whole.
If I can real quick, it's not how many don't have planes in them, it's how many are being used for something other than aviation.
Okay,
Because
but does that
that's like
include?
you owning a second home and me telling you that you have to have it occupied. That's a big stretch. In
And
terms of the free
in the
market,
lease-
right? But in the lease, that you have to use it for
Aviation.
right, so
Right.
that's gonna get away from the self-storage thing.
It
It's
doesn't,
real
right.
difficult, but it's,
it doesn't say you have to have a plane in there, it just says you have to use it for aviation, actually.
right, we wanna get away from the storage mentality, I think, and the natural market will prevail if you're not using it for store, if you're using it for this, then you, eventually your hangar fees will. Say, maybe I'll use that for something else, and you're gonna use it for storage and violate your lease, or you might consider renting it out and. Put a plane in it. But I think it would be hard pressed to mandate the use of it, the occupancy of it, I think. And then it's an inspection factor after that. Who's to say that there wasn't an airplane in there 5 minutes before I showed up to do it?
Hey,
Interesting. Interesting.
And something to think about as we navigate through that and its use. Is the fact, is the comfort maybe with inspections. And is that something that you want to incorporate in a future lease?
you mean,
I know, it's
Town-
right, see, look at Charlie's face.
Well,
the town
the
goes,
Charlie's not alone.
No, the only part of that I'm thinking of, yeah, I guess you can do it as part of the lease, but. I think people are sensitive about, you know,
Right.
Fourth Amendment rights to. Search and seizure,
Which is why I put it out there. I mean, I wouldn't want you inspecting my home, but my home's not located on your property.
right,
And I'm not, if I was on your property and you told me that it was for residential use only.
I hear you,
You know,
I
so
hear
that's, it's a discomfort. But if we are serious about it. Not turning into a. 15% self-storage unit. Out there, then it's something to consider. What's the palette of it?
How are they 14-11? Do we know?
they don't,
They don't.
some do, but most of them don't.
well, I mean, once again, if we have this regular, distribution list. And the power of email every 90 days, so that we can communicate all these things to people. I think we're gonna see better compliance, because they know we're looking at it.
Hopefully. That was the goal.
Yeah,
Anything else? When's the next meeting?
Oh,
Any-
motion to close.
Motion to close, seconded.
You know, let's go to the next meeting.
Yeah, let's get the next meeting date before
oh,
we.
okay, sorry about that.
So I'm not available until the second full week of November.
Okay, so give us a date.
How about Monday, the 17th of November? It's gonna stretch it almost to 2 months, but. What's happening, right?
What can we do about it?
So Monday the 17th,
That one, well,
1 o'clock.
1 o'clock. Anybody have?
I got a
anything?
question. I do have a question. Is there a reason we're pushing it out 6 to 7 weeks as opposed to once a month?
If you wanna meet in 4 weeks, you can do it without me.
Rich is not available.
Oh, okay. I didn't hear that part. Sorry.
You're always welcome to have small informal meetings.
Maybe at a barbecue.
Not much fun without you, Richard.
Well, break your barbecue.
Anyone have anything for the next meeting agenda that they're? Want to see?
Keep trucking on the things we're doing.
Okay, I agree. Want to make sure of that, okay. Meeting's adjourned. Glenn, you can now go to the fair.
I'm going back to the fair. I'm going to get cotton candy. Bye-bye.